What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and welcome to another edition of In Defense Of. As you can tell by the title today, we are going to be defending Scream 3. Now, I hear a lot of people out there say that Scream 3 is the worst in the franchise, and I'll be honest with you, I'm definitely ranking Scream 1 as the best. I'm definitely ranking Scream 2 as the second best. But as it relates to Scream 3 and 4, it kind of flip-flops on what I say is the third and fourth best in the franchise. With that said, I don't think any of the Scream films are bad films. And a lot of people seem to think that Scream 3 is a bad film, is a bad entry into the Scream franchise. As you can tell by the title and the premise of this show, I disagree. And here's why. So, first and foremost, I think, and let's go ahead and say it again, as I did in the last episode, I'm going to do it here too. Spoilers to follow. The movie came out over 20 years ago. You don't get any sympathy from me at this point. First and foremost, Roman Bridger deserves more credit as a Scream killer. He is to date the only Ghostface to do what they do entirely on his own. No partner, no help, just him by himself. I know the weird voice changer thing is corny and whatnot, but you've got to admit, it's a really cool element to a franchise that owes a lot to the invention of the telephone. Am I right? Roman has a great character, in my opinion. He's got a great motive, and he is the character who set the events of the entire franchise into motion. Would you rather have seen Scream 3 that Kevin Williamson originally wrote? Would you have rather seen the ending that had the whole thing ending like April Fool's Day or some shit? Personally, I would not have preferred that at all. To have the entire film just be this big prank against Sidney? First off, that's awful. In several ways. Even if you're not killing people, it makes you almost just as big as of a douchebag to do this to a victim of two, at that time, separate murder sprees. Okay? A survivor of those things. And I think, honestly, having Roman as the killer is way better than what we could have gotten. I think it is very good closure to that trilogy. And I think it just makes sense because, like Randy said, true trilogies are always about going back to the beginning, learning something that we thought was true that wasn't true. And I think this film does a really good job of that. I think if you look at the ending, Scream 3 makes everything else fall into place. Everything goes in a nice, fluid manner. You have Billy Loomis and Stu in the first, which directly link back to Roman in the third. We see how he put those guys into motion by showing Billy exactly why his mother left him, why she abandoned him. It was Sidney's mom, Maureen's fault that all of this happened. In the second one, you get a response to that when Billy Loomis's mother tries to come after Sidney for killing her son, even though she was defending herself. But moms a lot of times will defend their child even if they're wrong. We've seen that before. I know I have, so I don't doubt that for a second that that's plausible. And then we go into Roman, who's basically like, you know what, Billy didn't get the job done, along with his partner he was going to sell out. Debbie didn't get the job done, even though, as far as we know, there was no coercing by Roman to do that. It was just a revenge plot. So he decided to do it himself. He picked up the mantle of Ghostface, and he came pretty close. Had Sid not strapped on that bulletproof vest before she left the LAPD, she'd be dead. There'd have been no Scream 4, at least no Sidney in Scream 4. So, other than Jill, I think Roman came the absolute closest to killing Sidney. And once again, the fact that he did it by himself, you got to applaud that. Also, let's talk about how, like the explosion that killed Tom Prinz in Scream 3. A lot of people give it hell, but I've noticed something. The fans of this franchise a lot of times shit on the fact that, they're good movies, but it's just a bunch of knife kills, you know, nothing spectacular, nothing crazy like you might see out of Jason Voorhees, for example, with some more creative kills, or maybe in Saw or something along these lines. But I've also noticed the same people that complain about too many knife kills, too many just simple stabbings, are the same people that complain about the interesting kills, the few that there are. Case in point, in the original Scream, Tatum is crushed in a garage door. And the first thing people are going to tell you is, that's bullshit. Those doors aren't going to open with that much weight, which is true. But at the same time, you're going into a film. You're trying to escape reality. You're trying to escape the outside world. Why are you trying to use that much logic? I mean, let's be real. There are a lot of things in any horror movie that are just downright improbable or bullshit altogether. So instead of complaining, just enjoy the kill. Now, I go back to Tom Prinz in Scream 3, the explosion, and yeah, there's some problems with that. I think that, you know, flashlights exist, so how the hell would the killer know that somebody was going to use a lighter, for example? I get it. I get the complaints. I get the nitpicking. But it was a really cool explosion. Ghostface has never killed anyone with an explosion before or after. And it was a really cool effect. I enjoyed it myself. And, you know, it goes back to the whole Roman thing of, you know, a lot of these killers are just sneak in, stab, and try to get away. Roman was there. Maybe it was the director in him to make a mark, to make a scene, to let everyone know that he was there and exactly what he was gunning for. Now, there's no defense of Courtney Cox's bangs. None whatsoever. So I guess we'll just move on from that. And, you know, it does suck that Neve Campbell wasn't available to film as much of the movie as maybe we would have liked to have seen. But I think she was definitely there enough for it to still be about her. And it undoubtedly is. But this film also gives us a little bit more of Gale and Dewey. And that's something I believe that at this point in the franchise, by the time Scream 3 came across, I think that's something those characters definitely deserved. I hear a lot of people complain about the movie not having enough Sidney in it, which I get, I do. She's the star, she's the main act, everyone wants to see her. But almost just as important as she is Gale and Dewey. The only two people, by the time the killings really kick off in this film, that have made it since the very first Scream. Gale and Dewey are extremely important characters. I don't think there's any getting around that. Without them, Sidney would have been gone a long time ago. Dewey saves the day in Scream 3. Gale saved the day in Scream 1. Both saving Sidney from the killer attacking and killing her in the end. These characters are not only endearing, but they have developed and changed and evolved over time just as much as Sidney's character has. So they're very important. The franchise would not be the same without them. And I think that it's good that we got a film that focused a little bit more on them and a slightly less on Sidney. And I don't think it takes away at all from the film, because she's definitely still the main reason for the killer to be doing what he's doing. She's definitely the overall, protagonist of the film. And it's still about Sidney at the end of the day. I guess that'll about wrap it up. I can't think of anything else I really hear a lot of people talk a lot of crap about. I will say that there are certain people that mentioned that a lot of the characters aren't really fleshed out. And you know what? I can't defend that too much, because that is one gripe I do have about this film. I would have liked to have seen some of the characters more fleshed out. But to be honest with you, I think what they were going for is that a lot of the characters you didn't see fleshed out were just soulless, vapid Hollywood actors. And I think that's exactly, a lot of people say, Scream 3, by the time we get there, they don't reference this meta knowledge of horror, and they become that. Well, sure, maybe so. But I think that the focus was a bit shifted. I think it's it's a commentary on Hollywood itself. And I think that's why a lot of these characters aren't fleshed out, is because these characters aren't meant to be fleshed out. They're soulless, vapid, conceited Hollywood actors and actresses that are there to die. I mean, you even go into like Lance Hendrickson's character, John Milton. If that guy is not a statement on people like Harvey Weinstein, I'll eat my own ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, John Milton is Harvey Weinstein. There's no question about that. Even in 2000, before all these huge allegations came out, it was known that this sort of shit happened. And I guarantee you, Aaron Kruger, the writer of Scream 3, and Wes Craven, the director of Scream 3, were definitely in the industry long enough and had been around these people long enough to know that this kind of stuff happened. Scream 3 is and I'm struggling to find the right word, but it's a dissection of Hollywood, the way that Scream, the original and even the second, was a dissection of the horror genre. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, and maybe that's why they don't enjoy it quite as much as I do. So I'm going to leave you on that. I think that's a really good point to go out on. I almost forgot it. I'm glad I came back around to that. It's your all turn now. Let me know what you think about Scream 3. Have I changed your mind about Scream 3? Do you maybe see a few more merits in this film than you saw before? Let me know if you agree or disagree. Let me know in the comment section down below. We'll have a nice little chat about it. As long as we all stay calm and cool, that works for me. Also, while you're down there leaving me your comments, leave me a thumbs up. Hey, if you still hate Scream 3, at least leave me a thumbs up if you enjoy my content and the discussion about horror in general. Also, why don't you go ahead and subscribe and turn on those notifications by clicking the subscribe and the bell button. They're right next to each other. If you haven't done that already, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're a horror fan, I think it's well worth your time. That's pretty much all we do here at Bloody Breakdown. And definitely, before we depart from one another today, go ahead and check that description section where you'll see some links to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or even support my work via Patreon. And don't forget, we're getting really close to that 1,000 subscriber mark where I can turn on super chats. Once I reach the watch hours, I'll be able to monetize. I can post some community tab posts. And it'll be good to build the channel. So, if you haven't already subscribed, like I already said, and I would greatly appreciate you sharing this video, sharing the channel out. Let's go ahead, help me get to 1,000. Let's get this channel growing so I can devote more of my time to talk about horror at large. So with that said, I'm Bren from Bloody Breakdown. This has been another episode of In Defense Of, and we'll catch you all next time.